You're live. I've never felt more alive. Yes, beautiful people. 28 of you already, 29. Hit the like, bang this one up the charts. We're here to give you your Sunday evening entertainment. And most importantly, I want to talk to you about pop music. London, Paris, Munich. Everybody talk about pop music. It's going on all across the major cities of the world. Central banker, mayhem, panic, bedlam. They are crapping the bed in a big way. Skid marks abound. Yes, time for a drink of water. It kills coronavirus. You all should be doing it. Although I'm a big fan of rooibos tea with ginger, lemon, the acid, the magic of the Chinese ginger, and the heat of the rooibos tea, but none of that about. So how are you guys all doing? So let's talk about this. Let's just give you a little view about your central controllers and puppet masters and how they are a scrambling. That's right, because a scrambling they surely are. So the Fed, let's tell you what the Fed has been doing. So 1713 on the 15th, last time I checked, we're still the 15th on my time zone, that is Sunday. The Fed decided to welcome back an old friend, Monsieur, because French sounds classy and sophisticated. Monsieur Zirp is his name, ZIRP. For those of you that are not familiar with the acronym, it is zero interest rate policy. Yes. So we were doing this whole asset balance sheet reduction with the Fed a while ago, and they were telling you we're reducing our balance sheet and we're tightening and all of that, and we said bullshit. You might get one cut through. If you're very lucky, you'll get two. You will be giving them all back in time. You will be giving them all back and some, and you will be going to ZIRP, and you'll be once again contemplating NIRP. Zero. So we're at 1.75 2 weeks ago, folks. We dropped what's typically a double rate policy of 0.5 in one kaboom. And then we decided to go, hey, who needs 1.25? We'll just go somewhere between 0 and 0.25. How about that? How about that? This is like pile them high, sell them cheap, discount like a flipping last minute pawpaw salesman as your pawpaws are rotting on the market stall bench. As the flies start landing, these guys are cutting faster on that. Plus, hey, we announced 1.5 trillion, but hey, here's another 700 billion, 500 billion in treasury purchases. You know, that debt thingy that nobody wants to buy right now, but we've got to keep the interest rates real low. Well, we'll buy up 500 billion, and then there'll be another 200 billion in mortgage-backed securities. Are we back in the mortgage business, are we? 200 billion of MBS. What else? We will offer to boost intraday liquidity, we are told. The Fed announces measures related to the discount window, intraday credit. And then here's the big one. Guess what? Beautiful people. Reserve requirements for a bank. Now, you should all know that a bank should have reserve requirements. In other words, it's fractional reserve banking. It's not zero reserve banking. It's kind of like me selling mattresses and having zero stock. I can offer to sell 100 mattresses online and have 5 and send out 5 and wait for a new supply and keep 95 people waiting a little long and saying, yeah, that's the postal service that has taken a while, and string them on for a while. Zero, yes, not $1 in reserve requirements for banks. So it's not even a fractional reserve system anymore. It's an infinity one. We could all be banks. You could be bankrupt in a bank. You could be lending. I'll lend you some digits in that computer. I will. How many zeros do you want? Yeah, this is the clown card. I'm here to tell you that the clown cart has driven into a South African gold mine. It's driven into the mine shaft of a South African gold mine, not the mine itself. And it's in a fall, and people are going to call the bottom countless times because they hear wee. But let me tell you, you're going to be wee all the way home. You know that little thing you do with your baby with the toes? This little piggy went wee all the way home. And the home's a long way away. This is free falling, Tom Petty style, boy. You better get out your old 90s classics and jam that one. Free falling. The clown cart is on a long way to the core of the earth, buddy. And the only thing that comes up out of that place is gold. That's what's going down. So zero reserve banking. And we warned, folks, we've been warning. The next one is the biggest one. It is the biggest one. And now they own up. This is what's called owning up to this is bed shitting on a big style. I'm talking a skid mark all the way to the bathroom, up and down the sheet, all around the floor, all the way to the loo, bud. This is proper. This is proper. I can't believe this, man. You can't. We'll just do a 1.75% interest rate cut and throw 1.5 trillion plus 700 billion. That's 2.2 trillion in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we will cut nearly 2% and 2.2 trillion. Oh dear, the house has gone on the roof. It's feeling really cold. Shovel that, Igor. Shovel that cash onto the fire. It's going out. There's not an ember of heat left in this economy because coincidentally, we've got a global pandemic. That means everybody stops working. It just so timed so well, isn't it? Don't you think? Oh, all those pensioners that need to be Boomer Reaper is coming with his scythe and scything off some of those unnecessary takers from the system that paid tax all their life. The Boomer Reaper disease. Cometh the hour, cometh the pandemic. Just on time. Kill some of those old folks. They're awfully inconvenient. Hey, you, have a virus. I'm going to go. There was a wedding nearby my hotel. I was going like, Corona kisses for the bride? Come on, pucker up, love. No. We're not supposed to be touching. We're supposed to be all staying at home. And apparently 100's the magic number. 100 of you in a phone box, no problem. That next guy, now there's a fucking big problem, bro. 101 Dalmatians. Kill one of those puppies. Oh, yeah, gotta count these clowns. This is a clown card second to none, boy. The way you see this shit show through is you bloody learn to dance and laugh. And develop a mushrooms habit as well, because if you can't go to Wonderland with Alice and the rest of the clown cart, you're not going to see the humor. This is absolutely, man, this is such an orchestrated wham bam crash this show. I can't even begin to tell you. So, on the financial trading side, let's remember, I suppose this isn't supposed to be an entertainment and laugh out loud show, but who knows? With the news flow that I'm getting, it's difficult to keep it out of that. I can tell you this much. The dollar's probably going to go down for a while, and the stock market's going to do this. Wee, boop, wee. Oh dear, it's going to be about this big. There's going to be a few optimists that's going to get their decapitated. They're going to go, ooh, they're printing money. They're going to save. Buy the damn dip. Wrong formula, wrong time. This one is the big one. We'll have your head. Oh, dearie me. How do we make money? So let's have a look. David Blissett, He's saying countless times, David, once is enough, thanks. I do not have Tourette's yet, although the language may get colorful. How do we make money? You buy gold and silver, in my opinion. And you're laughing now. You're saying, but it's down. It had a terrible week. Here's the story, fella. The fear takes it down. The cure ramps it. And as I suggested in previous YouTubes, you might want to keep an eye on that if you're a crypto guy too. We just had the highest ever gold-silver ratio. It shot 105. It's popped out the top of a rising wedge. Now, if you know anything about technical analysis, in most instances, rising wedges break down. But sometimes, when we call it a type 2 in our program, you can grab a link to have a chat with our folks if you want to. Sometimes you pop out the top first. In other words, all those keen little buyers in the wedgies, something like that, all those keen little buyers coming up under and nibbling, they have a little pop out the top before they die. They're all committed. Well, in a gold-silver ratio, it isn't so much that anyone buying the gold-silver ratio, but it is indicative technically of what happens, whether it's a stock market. In fact, the Dow was in a rising wedge, getting tight, low volatility, squeezing up, and then a little, I can't bear not to be in this market. I don't care the price, just get me in. I haven't got Apple shares, and all my mates from Israel have quadrupled their money. Just buy. Here's 10 grand, just buy. And then you get the pop out the top, the dumb money, and then all the money's committed on the buy side, and no new money is ready to come in, and that's when you get a capitulation. And a capitulation on the gold-silver ratio, guys, will bring it home. I've got a blog post. Follow it. It's totally free. Follow it on YouTube at The Market Sniper about why gold and silver has gone long and how far we've got. And we are in the next level. So the FX markets are opening. The FX markets will be opening, and you will have a down dollar. So those that joined us with the longs on the USD ruble or anything like that, dollar will be trading down. Don't worry about it. I expect that 2.2 trillion it's like throwing it down that same 2-mile mine shaft. Yeah, you'll fill a bit of space for a while, but it'll settle all the way down at the bottom, and you'll still have 2 miles of vacuum to fill. And there's fear out there. So, hey, who's surprised about that? South Africa, the new prime minister, the new president, Cyril, I call him Squirrel Ramaphosa. Squirrel has actually announced, as many other countries have announced, I'm not picking on them or him specifically, but I read in detail, he did one of these tweets that had all these levels of things. No new people can come into South Africa. No one from any of the countries, South Korea, Italy, UK, America, you're all dirty. We don't want you. You come to make our indigenous people unhealthy, stay away, and anyone who comes in will be quarantined, and all of this, and that magic 100 number that I love. We can all get in a little 100 cuddle and nobody gets sick. Heaven help Mr. 101 though. So anyway, yeah, that's all happening. And what happens when you stop people traveling? They stop working, meetings stop happening, everyone stays at home, they get less productive. All the football is cancelled, so all the people who are suppliers to the FA don't get their money. The players stand around. The sponsors aren't getting any viewership. People aren't buying their products. Everyone is shitting the bed and is brought into a state of fear. So everyone is hoarding their cash, which is not a bad idea. Many forced sellers in the stock market are all selling and getting red. And so many interesting things to report. But time, I stay at home, myself in quarantine, says Stefano Cosando. Economically attractive man says gold and silver are in a bubble and will crash back to their industrial use value. I disagree. They'll still be there, and they don't lay babies like this one that just laid a 2.2 trillion baby. That's kind of like me giving birth to an elephant in terms of currency concerns, and then that elephant giving birth to future elephants. This is an expanding fiat environment, guys, and an expanding fiat environment is Weimar Republic. But the problem we have is that it's an expanding fiat environment for certain sectors of the economy. Not for you. No little cushy handouts for you. In fact, you need to pay all your taxes and pay them double quick time. You'll soon be on real-time tax. They'll take it from your electronic bank once they've canceled cash. They'll get everything, and they'll get it really quick, and it's going to be coming. In fact, I am going to keep an eye for you on some of the charts and the money. So you will have, you will certainly have the dollar proving weak after that Fed announcement. Guess what? If you want a little idea of how it's going on the stock markets, New Zealand opened 2% down after taking their interest rates from 1%, which was already exceedingly low because of their housing bubble, and they've been killing their currency for ages. They've just taken their currency from 1%, their central bank rate from 1% down to 0.25. So we're actually getting all of them coming down to the 0 to 0.25% ratio. Wherever you were, you just plunge back to zero, to just above zero. That is hysterical. So let's have a look what the effect of that. Oops, Bitcoin, like that a little bit. Fancy that. You can't, the Bitcoin isn't proliferated. So actually, it's come, Bitcoin's weighted. This news has been out. Bitcoin's been pissing me off. I've been watching it and I'm saying, it's going to break to the upside, guys. It's going to break to the upside. There is a squeeze. It's going to break to the upside. Then it went a little bit ugly and I said, I don't know what this thing's doing. I don't know if I can trust it anymore, but I have that sneaky feeling it'll go to the upside, but maybe I'm wrong. All of Saturday, I said that. It seemed, it waited for the Fed. It waited for the Fed to start laying that skid mark. And boy, have they done. Next thing you know, we've gone from a low of 5,173 and literally in the last few minutes, fairest of damsels and gentlemen's, we've just spat up to 5,950. And I can tell you quite conservatively, we have a target of 6,600. So Bitcoin will go up further. Bitcoin will go up further. I couldn't trust it. It kept messing with me. I was like, you're going to go up. You're going to go up. No, it's mucking around. You got to go up. No, you're mucking around. You got to go up. No, he's mucking around. Now he's gone. Now he's gone. And by the way, how do you think then gold markets are going to open if Bitcoin is responding eventually in that manner? Maybe it waited for the gold market. Let's see if we can get a gold chart. So I'm looking at a second device here. I'm not looking you in the eyes. I want to give you the latest and greatest, as in fact it's happening, because it is literally happening as we speak. I'm like, let's do a live stream and tell them about the news, because I'm seeing no reaction on Bitcoin. I'm sitting here looking at Bitcoin. I'm waiting for the FX markets to open and all of these things. And then literally one of you, kind fellow, have just highlighted to me, Bitcoin's finally pumped. Yes, you little bastard. You messed everybody around, upside and jackside, and you finally made me honest in the end after tease me. Yeah, and that's what's happened, girls and boys. Bitcoin has popped. It has popped, and it suddenly decided to react. Now, we do have an upside target on that, so that represents a trigger, and I've given you an idea of where I think that'll be. So let's have a see if we can get you a gold chart. Let's see if there's any markets maybe in the East that are currently trading XAU, USD. Now we have calls. It's the only thing that I have calls on. Mostly I have puts, everything to die. Zero coming. But I do actually have some gold, and I have a gold junior miners index. I have physical silver and gold, and we have a pop on gold. You see, the Fed is caught between two forces. The FX emergings are going parabolic. So they have to kill the dollar so that all the peripheral nations, remember, I've told you how this fails. On an FX level, it fails from the periphery. That means we are Rome. The stragglers and the poor people live outside the walls in tents. They're the first to be slaughtered by the barbarians. Then you get through the first wall. All the leaders and the monks are in an inner wall within a wall that is guarded with the royal, most loyal guard. So the layers fail, and the layers fail and gets harder, and it gets towards the middle. And the periphery is your ruble, your Mexican ruble, particularly exposed because of the oil playing a role in this, which we called short, as you know. We'll stop saying it. It's, you know, we got it right. So what? And we get plenty wrong. The Rand is in that mix, the Turkish lira is in that mix, and the Mexicans in that mix. So our community, some of the guys that will be in here will be short energies, short energy companies, short oil. We've given some away that we've dealt with, the likes of Tullow and PAA, and we are very heavily biased against emergings. But they're going to try to take that heat off the emergings. We also heavily bias precious metals. So when they take the heat of the emergings, gold and silver pumps. When they're worried about the disorderly climb of gold and silver, they try to strengthen the dollar. The emergings all start failing. And the line, there used to be a big broad highway for that line. The gold goes up and the dollar shows its weakness. Or any sign of dollar strength, and the emerging show its weakness. And the middle zone that they can walk, where the one's not getting disorderly and the other one's not getting disorderly, that path is getting narrower and narrower, and soon it goes like this. And there is no space to walk. Both get disorderly, and there's nothing you can do. Offer to print more dollars to save the FX emergings and the rubles and the Mexicans from getting mooning. You can't stop the Ford Bronco once the handbrake's off. It's in neutral and it's chucking it down the hill. Then you wait for it to hit the bottom. And we're getting to that point where they've been firefighting and they're having to use ever bigger amounts to put a different rabbit back in its box. So put that rabbit back in its box. Boop, the other one pops up. Put that one back up. Boop, the other one pops up. Hammer, hammer, hammer. Sorry, it isn't happening. It isn't happening. You can't keep them, and the highway is going. It's a walk path, soon the pedestrians only. Then it'll be people on unicycles that ride on a rope only. It'll be like a monkey in a circus. And then it goes, the rope is cut and it's free falling. And the Tom Petty song comes on the CD launcher and we all start dancing because that's all you can do. Okay, let's hear what you guys have to say. AA bonds, a good shelter for my pension to ride this out. Pensions. Gold. Silver. And if you can get some crypto, some of them are allowing it, crypto. Nothing of a debt ratio has my confidence. Other people will tell you differently. I'm not regulated. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just calling this market and getting a few of the aspects right. Okay. And, you know, I'm not going to change that tune. You know, it's going to be the same. Gold miners, they've been hopelessly suppressed. A whole bunch of stuff. So what else have we got for you? Pensions are screwed. Hit the like button. We've got 148 likes and I love you for that, but we have 1,000 people. That means 14.8%. You see, I did go to school once. Who knows? It was the matric year was the best 3 years of my life. But anyway, if we have 1,000 people and people hit that like button and say we got 101%, because that's a dangerous flipping number. I've explained this to you guys. That's like coronavirus. We could secure community immunity if we can hit 101%. How about that? If we hit 101%, there's 1,000 of you watching and we have 1,100 likes. How about that? See if you can pull that one off for me, because that's what your Federal Reserve is trying to do. It's trying to walk the two paths and you can't do it. Quick, some water. So, New Zealand's market is tanking, despite cutting its rates by 0.75%. So here's what that tells you. People don't believe you anymore. Look into my eyes, look into my eyes, look into my eyes. I don't believe a word you say. You are a central banker. You are an untrustworthy, psychopathic, baby raper who is parasitically living off all the people on the planet. I therefore have come to this conclusion, and anything you do is purely to bail out those that are part of your cabal and scam. So hear it from me now. I don't believe you, and not for love or money in this panic am I going to use my cash to shore up your stock market. Do you understand? I am in a state of panic and fear. You've shut down every airport, every port. You've stopped people from communing. You killed the 101, number 101 of the Dalmatians so that you can't get coronavirus. And I don't like you for that. You're a puppy killer. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, we're not responding to whatever you do. And in actual fact, you're making us more scared because you are absolutely flipping panicking. And that means there's cause for panic. And that means you've used this fake black swan of engineered illness to bring to an end an economic system by virtually closing business and industry across the goddamn board in an already weak Main Street economy, whilst we had record highs on the Dow and SPY in your cabal-based banker equity culture of leverage, where margin debt was used to pump stocks so that little bastards that were CEOs, entrepreneurs, retired out billionaires on options, on lent money that was lent by the same banking cabal that you are supporting and rigging. And they got lent money at low rates while you give us a credit card with 15, 16, and 30% to buy items for. That is your two-speed economy that you have supported. You've never represented me. You are a thief and a scoundrel. Your goal is to put the sheep of your community on the wrong side of a compound interest equation while you live off us as usury and rental extractors. And guess what? We've smelt the game. The Goyim knows. Yeah, that there is my message, beautiful people. And it's time you told them. It's time you told them. And what you do is the following. Build your own cash. So here's the Francis Hunt list of surviving what will be the depression. It's a depression. We never really recovered from the previous depression, which was a depression, even though they called it a great recession. In other words, it was great, like a king is great. He conquered many lands. The Great Recession. He's honorable. He came with a purple cape. No, it was a depression. It involved bank failure, and there was 2 years of negative growth, even though UK got a 0.1 in one of those quarters that was totally faked and was used with QE to bump it into slightly positive. Otherwise, it would have been multiple year negative growth. That's the definition of a depression. Many people don't know that. And there was banker failure, which is also part of the definitions of a depression. Everyone knows what a recession is, 2 quarters of negative growth. Go learn the real value and Google the depression. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the truth of the matter. And we never really recovered. We grind along. Main Street didn't recover. But it gave a chance for the insiders to take your stock market to the moon on hopium and debt. You have companies like Coca-Cola. You should check out Simon Black, that has essentially more debt, 3 times more debt, half the revenue that it used to have, or half the profits it used to have on about 80% of the revenue, and are worth 2.5 times more at the highs, not right now. So to me, guys, Reset Sniper, I've been about this for a decade and a half. And I've said the next one will be brutal. And it will be more brutal than '08. And there will be a different world that emerges out of this. Extremely different. The pain has to go high. Problem, reaction, solution. The pain in the problem has to go so high and is involved an oil glut war, price war, to bankrupt all oil creation countries and put the pressure on UK fracking, combined with a global pandemic, supposedly. How true, I don't know. I'm not a medical guy. I'm not going to be one of those Twitter geniuses about virus and laboratory work and all of that, but I hold it under suspicion that have coincided to probably close to half, 30, 40%, 50% of economic activity all to go to tip this shit pile of a clown cart into the 2-mile fall that it's now found itself into. And that, people, are the big scenario. Do not call the bottom on this plummet. You will see prices you won't believe, and they to be ignored. I know you will survive 2008, and you look back at 2009 and say, damn, that was a time to buy. You fell from 07 to 09. This should be longer. we're going to revert now to a financial crisis. Governments are going to become the bailouts of every single industry and every single company. They first, though, have to let them hit all-time lows, and all the little industry titans, the billionaires in fracking, to say, hey, we need a bailout. We need a bailout for our industry. Otherwise, you won't have this oil anymore, and jobs are going to be cut, and all of this stuff. They need you to be feeling the pain. They need all those employees to be losing work, losing time, losing revenue, so that you'll accept the eventual solution. And they're going to want to kill cash as part of that. They're going to want digitized everything. You just have to look at India. It was so hard for the informal sector of India to get a bank account. Boom, suddenly they rock up. They kill the two biggest notes so that all those little people that in their minds are little people that are dealing in cash no longer have cash to deal in cash. And now with an app on your phone, you can open a bank account. The great banking. We're making banking available. We don't want your effing banking. We want privacy, and we want our ability to engage with a fellow human being without an extractor being a third party in the exchange. And they want tax extraction on the informal sector in India that they were missing out on. And now they're banked, and once you're banked, the banks are part of the spy network. They're part of the dark state. They're part of the cabal. If you're making too much money, they're going to make sure everyone knows. They're going to want to make sure that the receiver knows. Do your returns reflect that? One of the best things you guys can do is get yourself in a friendly jurisdiction and expect those rules to change, but at least get some protection for a while. This is the great game. Can you explain the dollar swap program they have announced? Let me just see that question. The comments are coming in fast and furious. We've got 1.2 thousand on people on here. That is freaking awesome. 1,200 people. I love you for coming. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're learning something. And I'll try read some comments, but I'm probably going to miss some as well. It's not personal. So let's just go back to that question. Can you explain the dollar swap program they have announced, sir? Sounds to me like an attempt to strengthen the dollar or ensure dollar liquidity. Liquidity, yes. Strength, no. Strength, no. You don't add a whole bunch more dollars to the system. So if you are the 50% shareholder in a company with me, and we have 100 shares each, if we go, let's make it 1,000 shares, but nothing changes in the business. We still have the same van, the same florist, and the same office, and the same fax machine, etc. Our revenue is still the same, Well, all that's happened is each share is worth 1/10 of what it used to be. We didn't 10 times the share. So that's called proliferation and dilution. Okay, the total value of the company didn't change the second we both signed that agreement. And that's what's happened to the dollar. And that's why gold, which is saying, where did that money come from? Hey, you've just increased the amount of dollars. In other words, what we're benchmarking a gold ounce against that never changes and never gives birth to other gold ounces, we're comparing against something that keeps splitting and expanding, and that means dilution. So gold goes up for that diluted dollar. Because that dollar isn't the thing that's standing the same. It's lost 97% of its buying power, my good friends. And it's about to dump the last 3. Oh, dear, me. That 101, that tickles me. You know, you don't ever let it get to 101, guys. Shoot Mr. 101. He's going to get you all sick. When you get together, man, that coronavirus can count. So a bond is a treasury. A bond is a better way to go now. Guys, yes, the treasuries may well go up. Interest rates go down, and it's an inverse proportional. So the value of a bond does go up. My opinion, and I differ from Real Vision and all these other guys, on paper, you will go up in equity, but there is too much debt. There could, if they reset this whole system and say, we're going to do everything totally different, we're canceling bonds, you know, a full debt reset. What's going to happen to your investment? It could go to zero. It could be a moratorium on debt. Who wants to buy something that is a paper contract that can be canceled, for which there is an abundance of bonds? How can they be so highly valued, and yet we're creating them at such a huge rate? Supply and demand, guys. Supply and demand. You can't say, yes, but the US is good for it. They'll always pay us back. They're a big country with lots of little taxpayers that are all having their nuts squeezed really hard. We can surely lend them money. Yes, they may buy bombs and drop them on some person's head and then they're all gone, but they'll keep extracting taxes. You only get half what you spend each year out of taxes. I think it was about 52%. I'm telling you, it's getting diluted. What do you think is going to happen to the tax take with Mr. Economy shrinks by 40% due to pandemic, crazy bad luck, black swan, Never saw that come in. What do you think happens? You think the tax take looks good? The tax take goes down, the debt creation goes up. You're not even going to be getting in tax 50% what you spend anymore. That means you're creating more amounts of debts, and everyone wants to invest in bonds. The debts. I'll hold the other end of that trade. Sure, I'll lend Mr. USA money. I ain't lending him shit. I'm going to piss on him when he's on fire. That's just me. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. Yeah, you need the Seal song to come on. You got to be a little bit crazy. That's it. So what else have we got? There's someone who really likes heart emoticons. Grow your own food a while. Yes, it's a good idea to become self-reliant. Get to know your local community. Francis Hunt Steps. I started with this. I never finished it. Get to know your local community, your local copper. Let yourself be known to him. And the head of the police office, be on personal terms, say, hey, things get out of hand, people don't have to come to work, can I back you up? Civilian force, this is my skill sets, I can shoot, I have a license, but I can do armed response as well. Get to know your local farmer and farmer market. Get solar panels, could be pretty cheap right now. Boy, that silver, it dropped to 14. Where is the silver? Check the silver chart, Francis. So we were talking about that gold-silver ratio. How's the silver done? Decent little pump-alongs. So you could have had him at the lows at 14.4, now trading 15.02. Nice little pump. So we got some spammer that wants to sell you. No, it's not a spammer. It sounded like something a bit saucy. Gold closing the gaps. Yeah. Dollar will fail at last. So that's, yeah. So with the gentleman referring dollar failing last, I go back to the Roman. I've used this periphery. So you've got your liras and even worse currencies. So the Zimbabwe is in total mess. They were pegged to the dollar. They try to unpeg and ban other foreign currencies. They've lost 83% value again on their new currency. So the Indian rupees, the Brazilian real, these have been falling for a while already. This is why we called for FX emergings. Now the slightly bigger emergings, Mexico, Turkey getting involved in stuff I don't think they should get involved in, with Syria and all of that. You can't fight wars. You can't get too cocky. They're flooding Europe, apparently, if it's to be believed. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe they're being misrepresented. Maybe it's something Islamophobic. I don't know. I don't want to get involved with that. All I know is the news, what they're saying, and I don't always believe what they're saying, but it's possible. So I've seen some clips, people into Europe. They're saying, hey, Europe, hey, America, you're going to trash our currency. We're going to flood your country with, we'll help them get there. We will load them in trucks and we'll get some traffickers to, take a few bob from them and drive them straight to your border. We'll even pull a fence down. That's apparently what's happened. I've seen a video. Was it legit? Possibly, probably. Who knows? But it could not be. So I could be entirely wrong. So the whole thing about that is it's getting a bit edgy with Turkey and Europe. And you got the try. You got the try where it is stuffed with dollar, big population. So these are the periphery countries. They start failing within towards. Now, the one difference, who do you think will be holding strong against the dollar right now as a fiat? I'm not talking golds and bitcoins and all of those that should be pumping. Who do you think will be holding strong against the dollar right now. Who do you think might be selling off a wee bit? Quick. Get a trade on. Add to the ones you already have. My good old pal that everybody says is so indebted, and they're wrong because they are indebted in one sense, but they are indebted and saving their own debt, which is a very useful thing to do. Yes, I'm talking about the Japanese yen, and it rallied to our axis, and now it is absolutely gaining back. And that whole pattern triggered, and then it's had a rally back up. So we call that the feign and the break, the return move, and the yen. And I'll have some of my community friends hopefully on here. They'll know about that trade that we've had on for a while. And it is a goodie. It is a goodie, and it will hedge us against the dollar weakness. So tomorrow morning comes and the Europeans open and they all want to sell the dollar a little lower. That's good by me. My USD JPY hedges the fact in my trade list I'm going to be giving back on the rubles. You don't have these huge green days and then these massive backlash days of red. You've got that perpetual hedge. You would literally need them both to make simultaneous announcements. And I think the Bank of Japan has already done some. And then you'll be fine. So the USD JPY we see trading into the 80s. That's right, currently 106. Not a bad trade, but don't expect it to be simple. It's a widow maker of a pair. There'll be wild crashes, and then there'll be, hey, that's getting disorderly, pump it back up, create a news, do some whatever. They're trying to avoid too large disorderly move in a short space of time. And guess what? The Federal Reserve, folks, is the people who are behind the adding of volatility to the entire economy. They are not the stabilizing force. They make these announcements. We'll do this, unprecedented, we'll do that. It's all that doing that didn't allow the pain. We should have taken proper pain in the dot-com and 2000 instead of Greenspan's liquidity experiment. He needs to be in the economic criminal court in The Hague for all the damage he caused. We pumped a whole bunch of debt. We then bailed the banks out in 7 and 8. When that was not allowed to run its full course, and we clear out this financialization of everything industry that we have because it didn't suit them. It didn't suit them. You can't kill our little precious lambs. You are the ugly sheep. You must be killed. And it is apartheid. It is internationalist banker, cartel media, and corporatocracy against the everyday citizen. And I'm with the citizens. Way, let's have a drink together. And it's time we learned their game because we're fractured and vast in number. They are organized and small in number, and it's easier to organize when you're small, and very, very powerful because people give in to being bought off. And then they do dirty deeds behind dark doors. Think about Epstein. Think about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. What little blackmail running operation were they doing where every little politician that wanted to go somewhere had to commit some form of a dastardly molestation, rape, sin with an underage girl stroke boy on a private island while being recorded? Which nation state do you think these actors are working for? I ask you. Help me, because I'm battling with my history. I'm battling with understanding where this activity may have come from. Who do you think is behind this, I ask? Anyway, you've got a blackmail scheme being run by somebody, and there's always a billionaire businessman giving this guy cars and nice places so that he can entertain and throw parties and chase models, and they're all being brought to him. There's all these feeder networks. Think about who these people are and think about where they stand morality-wise. And think about if you should be supporting them, if you should allow these ticks to snuggle under your armpit and suck blood from you. Yes, parasitic they are. Parasitic they are. So what are the questions? General banking crisis coming soon. So we're going to go from the news feed is all corona. I'm so corona'd out. I don't even want to hear that word anymore. I'm like, I don't want to hear stats. I don't want to hear some flu map anymore. I don't want to hear corona. And it will it'll carry on for a while. And it'll be known as the Corona Crisis, I'm pretty sure, even though that's just the cover story. And what's going to probably happen is you're going to flex into the news becoming more financial. Liquidity crises, financial. You've seen this part of the movie before. It's always got to be there. You know it's overhung. You know it never got cleared up. Oh, we passed stress tests. We did our homework. We learned our lessons. And we looked into the banking situation. And now the banks are ever more robust to survive anything that can be thrown at them until now, where they all fail in the same way. The liars, the liars, the liars. The liars, the damn liars. You get liars, damn liars, and banking cartels in that order. And that's what's going to be the nature of the story. So went long on. By the way, you want to learn about our technical trading, click the links below, book in, get our free mini series, how we called the oil short, how we called the ruble long, how we called oil service companies short, why we were saying Bitcoin should go up, even though we were saying it should be Saturday. It never happened, came Sunday. You can't be accurate to a minute, I'm afraid. You can be wrong. It did mess with us a little bit. How we called Bitcoin short, not just long, at key levels. What gave us the right to know these things? We didn't know them, but we had a probability-based assessment that often turns out accurate. That's a skill set you can learn and do entirely yourself. I'm nothing special, actually. I've devised a mechanism to deal with all my many failings in my trading. As a trader, I'm like Eddie the Eagle, man. There was this crazy story about Eddie the Eagle. He was an English guy who was trying to be a skier and do the Olympics. And he was absolutely dross because English don't really have much of a skiing team. The snow's not particularly reliable. He was absolutely cacked, and he got applauded for being useless. You know, it's like that runner that comes in stone last. That's almost pathetic applause. And in trading, I was the Eddie the Eagle. I made every mistake, too much risk, too much size, feeling absolute conviction going into big, and then damn, afterwards it's wrong, and then realizing why and why didn't I see it. And I was in an altered state with adrenaline and drugs of endorphins flushing through my brain. So many times you make that mistake. So many times, and you'll continue to repeat it. And the only thing that substitutes it is process and method. You actually can't put a trade on unless you comply and follow with certain steps and you're getting certain structure. And that, my friends, is when you can start winning in this market. And right now you're getting the biggest gifts because some of the hugest moves are coming. And we spoke of some of them and you're missing some of the other detail. Anyway, not to sell, just saying, if you thought about trading or if you thought about being smart about your investing, with trading, we're not jumping in and out all day long, 14 screens. I'm on a laptop here. There's one more laptop here. And, I don't want my eyes to die. I don't have 9 screens. I'm mobile. I have an office everywhere. So, we make a couple of quality decisions a year. Make 1 or 2 bad ones because it happens and that's probabilities, and make a few more high quality ones. And the rest gets done. Bit of leverage, bit of clever money management, tight stops, big gains. Okay, enough on that. Do you think the rate cut and printing will work? Does he think the rate cut and printing will work? It will work for the problem they've created, the reaction they seek, and the eventual solution they aim to deliver. In that sense, it will work. Is it going to save you? It's going to be not for you, my friend. They do not care for you. Unless, of course, you're a central banker yourself, or you work in the banking industry or the shale industry and you're demanding a bailout. Then it may work for you for a while. That is the only thing. So it depends what you mean by work. For them, it's going to work. Problem, they've created it. Reaction, they know exactly what to expect. They've had a few drills like dot-com bust, like 2007 and 8 bailouts. They got away with it. The public never ripped politicians and stabbed them in the eye sockets and slit their throats. They didn't turn the whole army into shooting the named families that are behind the dark state. They didn't execute any of the major intelligence Five Eyes heroes that are working to keep us safe from terrorists. No, they got away with it. The drill went fine. Ready for the main event? Here she comes. If you didn't like them starters, you're going to love, I'm sorry, you're not going to like these mains either. That dog shit we fed you last time, here's pangolin and batshit soup. Have some of that. You didn't get upset then. You didn't fight at me. You didn't attack me then. You sure as hell ain't going to do it now. Docile, divided, large, unorganized citizenry have allowed us to be bit part actors in this stage production, people. That is your game. Wash your hands is advice from Tomcat. I think he's right. It's never bad advice anyway. Generally, do you think the rate cut and printing will work? He said. I keep seeing the same question. Must have been the caps. Bioweapon, not bat soup. Yes, bioweapon. I'm being facetious if I say bat soup. Who knows really what the story is? How much do I need to start investing? How much string do you need for anything? Start. If you have $1, start with $1. If you have $20, start with $20. What you do is you keep, and here's going back to the key list of what you guys should be doing. Apart from, so I've mentioned getting in touch with local community, done with that. Cash, hold higher levels of cash. This is going to roll into a financial crisis, the real crisis. This is the facade crisis, the facade of the building. You know, when that whole building is knocked down at the back and then just the front bit that was old and kind of charming stays up and it's held with trusses, that's the facade. The real crap is it's fallen apart at the back, and that's the financial bit, and it's busy falling apart as it happens. They've just come out with 1.5 trillion. What do you think? These guys are in trouble, deep trouble, and now they've added another 700 billion because that first 1.5 trillion didn't impress enough people, and they're hoping that that's going to, and the more they do, the more clear they make it that this is a huge bigger than before panic. This is QE5. You are seeing QE5 after repo, when the liquidity markets are burnt up. And we said when the inversion yield happened, we said everything we warned is coming. And the crash will follow within 3 months to 6 months of the yield inversion. And it will be bigger than ever before because everything is more rotten than before. And the changes that will come after it will be this brave new world, an unfortunate phrase. Go study that book and you will see what lies beneath. So Dow down 800 points on the future. Thanks for that update. That was funky cold. Nice to have you. Nice to have you on the stream. Hazel Croft at the Market Sniper. Hey, Francis, do you see the market doing a rebound before the Niagara Falls? Lol. And the crypto market. So if they're not impressing, as I've said, they may get a meh, or they might impress. I don't think this is going to impress. It's going to smell more of panic. I think panic actually is going to be the underlying message. So to be clear, we have a microcosm. We have the New Zealand market. New Zealand's cut from 1 to 0.25, and they know America has cut from essentially 1, was it? They were at 1.75, they cut 50, so they're at 1.25. They've cut essentially down to somewhere between 0 and 2.5, which is going to lean harder on the 0 in my view. But anyway, let's just say they took it to 25 from 1.25. That is an incredible amount of cuts. That is 3 cuts, 1.25. No, it's 4 cuts, and possibly 5 if it's 0 more often than 2.5. So that is, and that's how the New Zealand market has chosen to react. The people who are waking up to that news are not buyers. That's 2% down. That is help. 2% in a single moment on an open is pretty big. Look, it might turn around, and then the central bank. There's going to be plunge protection buying. Some of this QE will be conditional. They'll say to the investment bank it's going to, you shall buy stocks. Buy stocks. Buy stocks. They'll say, buy stocks, otherwise you're in trouble. There might be conditions, who knows? And that could lead to a short-term bounce. But there'll be no confidence in the people buying stocks, and self-interest will always win the day. If you know there's going to be a shortage of cash, what are you guys all going to do? You're going to run and liquidate things and get into cash. That's what's going to happen. Could there be banker bail-ins? There could. This is going to be big. I think there's shocks that I can't even begin to conceptualize myself that are going to take me by surprise by the scale of this. And I've looked and thought about this model and all the options they have. They're going to do certain things. I mean, I've thought, what if every person here, there's 1,200 people on this live stream. This is freaking awesome, man. Let's hit 1,201 likes. I'm thought they could get everyone in and say, it's free, it's on the state. You need to get a vaccination against coronavirus. Remember, they're very clever. They serve multiple purposes with everything. There's a reason this is a pandemic. Why? They won't focus on health. They won't focus on vaccines. Israel has got the vaccine, kind of announced it the same day the thing happened, type story. Here, yeah, we're selling it and we're going to subsidize it. Government's going to do it for free for you. Everyone has to come. And we're keeping a list. And otherwise, you can't go to the cinema unless you've got the tattoo, the unseen light on your skin that says someone injected a vaccine, and possibly also simultaneously an itsy weeny tiny microchip that you never got told about. Yeah, and then they'll say, rat your buddies out who haven't done it. You can't go into a public place. There will be people scanning at the door to check that you've had a vaccine. And then those that don't do it, it's obligatory, it's compulsory, and you will be named and shamed and dragged in and have it done to you because you could make the rest of the world sick. We're all in this together. Take the vaccine, take the vaccine. What are you going to do? And then they're going to give bounties to rat your friend out. And then they'll come to the house and do it. A SWAT team. I don't like it. I don't like that there's a medical element to this. I don't like that there's vaccines. I don't like it. I don't know what to make of it. There's nasty things we could speculate about having come our way. But, you know, there's lots of things I would hope doesn't come to fruition. Pumped because Fed cut rates. 666 again. Do not take the mark of the beast. Long bullish and short bears for cryptos. Long is bullish, that's right, and short means bearish. That's correct, if that's what you're explaining, Elia. Francis, we need some moderators. Yeah, this live stream, there's some guys. I normally do live streams with staff, and I've decided to just jump on, so I'm sorry for that. There's always people on a live stream that is going to take advantage, try pump a crypto coin, just report everyone. If there's somebody spamming some porn site or something, just report, get it out. I hate that lot. WX watch, oil, talk oil. So what about oil? Let's see. What doeth the oil? What doeth the oil? What do we know about oil? USD JPY had a nice come up and came all the way down from 108 to 106. US oil, shall we make it WTI? Why not? YTI. Woo! So, on oil, Mr. Donald Trump, Agent Orange, I don't have a dog in this fight, I don't like any of them, came out and said, let's fill the strategic reserve with oil. Buy oil. I want the strategic tank full. That means roughly, I think it was 90 million barrels of oil to try pump, because oil being dumped, very bad for the bankers that have all QE industry, the fracking industry. And so you finished on Friday with a little bit of a boop on the oil price that took it to $34 from 31. You are now trading 30.38. So not only did it collapse down, it collapsed down to lower than what it was when he made the announcement. That smells of panic. That smells of panic. Getting your puppet president to make a oil supportive tweet. Excuse me. And that smacks of panic. So oil is trading at $30.39. It's very close. Let me just get a bigger time frame up, because I was trying to catch the detail of the short time frame. Oil is actually very low, but not quite the initial previous weekend Saudi Russia blowout absolute low, but a big sell-off from where it closed on Friday. The absolute low on WTI was on this chart, 27.31, a bit of an extremity, and it bounced and then settled in the 31 and went as high as 36 range. So 31, mainly between 31 and 34. It's now dropped below that 31 level floor. Yup. Stop the carnival. The carnival is crashing. Carnival was a liner share short that we provided to you guys on this channel, and said may overperform to the downside, and how. So the XAG ratio blow off, someone was referring that, we'll take a look. Yeah, maybe in a concentration camp, says Hans Danzig, for the Israeli vaccine. He says, will BTC transition from risk on to risk off, in your opinion, or sell off hard here? I think I'm going to stick my neck out a bit. I haven't got enough charting history to make a strong probability and say this is super strong. We discuss this in detail right now, but my impression is the run of the 4,000 level was a key level that it rejected quite strongly. And we got a fairly decent rally, and now we got this little upside break, and the cure is coming. So the whole game is, guys, when you're in fear mode, gold and silver will go down. When, not you specifically, the market is broadly in the fear mode, gold and silver will still sell off because there's liquidation looking for cash. When the solution starts to become more and more prominent and present, and we're starting to see more, this Zero Head article, I can just share the article, all the Fed multitude of comments. I'll post it in the chat. Say something, it says. Okay, have a link. I'll feed you a link. That's a Zero Hedge article with the details of what the Fed's done. This is classified as a cure or a band-aid for this hemorrhaging wound. So we've been severed across chest, across navel, and our guts are spilling out. And the Fed is running with a tiny little band-aid. It is ethnically sensitive one, because I am a man of many genders and a man of many ethnic colors, and I like a get out of jail free card, so I'll transgender for that. The band-aid is dark brown, and it goes just over 1/10 of the wound, and you keep pissing out blood and your intestines are still on the floor. In other words, I don't think it's going to be very effective. But it is a cure attempt. This is remedy. This is their attempt at remedy. And they'll throw bigger numbers and bigger numbers on the basis that more size means outcome. And what it'll actually say is you've lost complete control. You're destroying any semblance of a serious fiat system. And the only thing for me to do is to buy something that can't be given birth to by the thousands, by a printing machine or a banker cartel member. Like digits in a machine or anything else. Is it a dry cough? Yes, I've got all the symptoms, and I was traveling as well. No, I'm okay, thanks, mate. I've had a look at what the symptoms were. I did ask the question. Pretty good, pretty good. I had lots of snoopy little mucus, but I'll spare you that thought. And apparently that's not happening. Oil, toil, and trouble, yes. Will Carnival bounce back? Question. So it could fall so fast that there will be small bumps just through nature of price behavior, that some optimists pop up at a certain level. So there's going to be value buyers that are going to get crushed by something that sinks ever lower. And if they use any leverage themselves, they'll be liquidated. So if they're not smart value buyers that have real cash holdings, they'll be doing it. But guess what also happens, guys? When this is close to the very lows, guess who will be picking up all the pieces in the name of the government and the central banking community at the very lows, just before they're going to announce recovery? Change the media message to recovery and green shoots. I like green shoots. It's kind of like a teenage mutant ninja turtle orgasming. Green shoots. Whoa! Green shoots in the economy. The little turtles are ejaculating. It's kind of weird. But anyway, yes, wait for the phrase green shoots in the mainstream media. Then you know they are willing it and they are changing the tune, and they'll talk everyone back into an optimism. So yeah, Brent getting hit hard. Brent, let's check Brent. I was on the US. So let's do the Brent. Good comments. Keep them coming. I can steer and spread the news. Brent is worse. Brent, guys, is close actually to running its all-time low. Brent should trade at a premium to WTI. Remember, Trump ain't going to buy the European version of oil, even though it's better oil. It's less tar. WTI is Western Texas intermediate grade. Generally, Brent is light sweet. It requires slightly less refining and has less bump in it. And its low was 31.26. So these numbers are higher because it commands a premium. And we are now 32.18. We're almost dropping into the 31s. And it is significantly lower than any other point since we came on. So oil is a short. Oil isn't buying. Trump's story. And it looks like, remember, we said a long time ago, guys, and this is what you can do with technical analysis and method. We didn't suck this out of our thumbs. I don't show up and say all the time, hey, this could trade. I said people are hopelessly underpricing the distinct possibility that oil could indeed trade at a single-digit number for a short period of time, or maybe even a long one. And that we certainly are bearish oil and we have lower targets, but that in actual fact, there is that distinct possibility and it's hopelessly underpriced. That doesn't mean it's the highest probability event, but it does mean that, and then what did we happen? All of this has transpired. We said this months before. And that's technical analysis and our amazing community. A lot of what I'm sharing has come through and with the benefit of our communal groupthink of trained, smart people. We've got lovely guys, engineers, technical IT type guys from all over the world, smart, great community, from Korea, New Zealand, Australia, right the way across to the West Coast of the USA, through Europe, South Africa, Australia, you name it. Nearly all the English nations, speaking nations, and many of those that don't. So yes, dollar, yes, USD, JPY. Let's check in with those comments. What's the latest? I don't know if it keeps reeling some, because some I see a few times. USD, JPY, massive oil dump is not affecting UK oil prices. So that's an interesting point, Willem Duplessis. Willem, maybe you are in the UK right now as a South African abroad, potentially. So here's the deal. Guess who skims? The prices drop for the pumps and the oil companies that they can fetch on the commercial buying. That doesn't mean you get that benefit. This is the same reason why the mega corps borrow billions for fractions of percents, and you pay 30% for the same money on your credit card, or your 26 or your 19 or whatever, if you do borrowing. Bad idea to do borrowing, by the way. It's not something I encourage. Margin on a trading account where it's netted out of profits, okay, if you know what you're doing and you have real method, that's okay, and you close. It's a different kind of thing. Outside of property, have no borrowing at all. And personally, I like a cash-owned property, personally. Who wants a landlord like a bank? Not me. I don't like landlords. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like people I didn't invite to be around, really. What, for their digits that they printed up in their machine to give me permission to buy something that maybe I had to stretch for? No. So what else? That was an interesting comment from Willem. Thank you for it. Bearded Trucker Bear. Francis, please. Cryptos are falling back down. What to do? What to do on cryptos is the question. BTC USD. I think it will present a second chance opportunity. Typically, it's come hard down. I see what you're saying. That will have jackknifed a few people. Violently up and then violently back down. I suspect this is what our method will say. You've triggered, therefore you should be long. And until you stopped out, it's a long. That's our technical opinion. In actual fact, you're getting a strong second chance. So remember, there's still a lot of scared people that were butt hurt from the collapse. that carried immense losses. These people are saying if it ever gets back to, fill in the missing word, and remember 6,000 is a bit of a key level, 5,900, people are going to start dumping. So you still got some scared, burnt hands that might want to release. So you get a second dip. Don't forget, you've got to go through Europe. So I've stayed up on a Sunday night. Most bankers don't like to work their weekends. I love what I do, and I wanted to see the Sunday open because there's interesting news around. But they don't. There will be a few really pro hedge fund managers that'll have screens at home and will be calling Japan and dealers and dealing. Those will be your hardcore guys. So it remains a long, is my opinion, for 6.5 plus levels. That's my take. And in actual fact, it's giving you a second chance to buy. It came down hard, but it also went up hard, and it hasn't gone down as low. So for now, it's a little bit of a schizophrenic, and I think there's been some panic selling. So that's my take on crypto. For those of you that follow, and Bitcoin is your god market. 1.3 thousand. 1.3 thousand. It sounds so impressive when I do that. It's like Jacob Zuma doing numbers. For those of you in South Africa, you'd love that. Ex-president. 605 likes. I'm looking for 1,301. Give me that. Give me that, you guys. Like it and share it. Get your buddies on. So, sorry for repeating. Brent getting hit hard. Yep. Grow your own food. Yep. Will fall fast. Dollar. Yes, it will fall fast. I think the emergings will be giving up ground, but I think they'll start coming back. You see, I'm already seeing this in my P&Ls. My USD rubles dipped, and now they're pumping. They dipped on this dollar news, and that didn't last long, guys. What's happening? Ruble being killed and everyone buying the dollar. They used the dip as an excuse to get long something that has to end. That is not good news for the Fed. You know that thing, that little pathway where they're trying to keep the FX emergings under control, that they don't fall out of bed, so they weaken the dollar a bit, but then gold gets out of control and starts climbing, so they try to strengthen the dollar a bit, and then that whole explanation. The people just aren't buying anymore. In fact, the ruble is trotting. The ruble. Yes, love for the ruble. The ruble. Whoop, I didn't want that. We got to buy the ruble. Buy the ruble. Buy some more ruble. It's a liquid market, and it's having quite a good pump. So, Francis, what do you think of Ripple and EOS? So let's get clear. On crypto, fundamentals of the individual projects, like how's EOS progressing with their dApps? Much better people out there than me to comment. What do you think of XRP's recent announcements? Much better people than me to comment on that. I look at their charts, and if the charts ain't right, I ain't buying. I don't look any further. I've got a limited amount of time and bandwidth until something is giving me what I like to see. So I made 160,000 pounds on Robusta coffee in 2006. I didn't know the difference between a Robusta bean and an Arabica bean because the chart was right. Once I started to make money on it and I was interested, then I went and found out, what's a Robusta tree? Where do they grow? How many are there? Why are they different from Arabica? What does it mean? What's the premium? All of this. Then it became interesting to me. So the chart leads for me. Technically, it leads. The feet in the sand of what people are doing, the God's handwriting on the wall is a chart. Not what they say, what they do. Soros dissed precious metals. Buffett dissed precious metals. They both built huge positions in silver at different points of the last crisis. So, understand what I'm saying to you. You need a method. So some happy faces and smiley faces here. So Francis, is silver at the relative low too, or are you anticipating that it will continue selling off? Very technical about our structure. I'll go through that in our community if you're there, Brian. But it's been bottoming for a while, and I expect very impulsive response from it when it runs. Initially, the gold will have to go, but then eventually that gold-silver ratio turns. It will be the signal of an epic bull. You want to be leveraged long. And by the way, can I repeat And this I have made free view to everyone who watches. So there's 1,300 of you, and I want you to listen up right now. Switch those radars on. It looks like a Porsche when you do that. You remember when you were a kid, you make yourself look like a monkey. Anyway, so do that and listen up. Gold is in a major long-term upside hunt volatility funnel break against most of the major currencies of the world. I'm talking euro, GBP, yen, you name it. There are high targets, and we are at an interim level which has seen this pullback. This is all falls into the technical. The technical is the fundamental. So they kill they strengthen the dollar a bit, and it turns up the heat on all the emerging currencies. And then gold and silver slumps back. It all occurred straight after we ran and pushed through our second interim levels. And then you have this pullback period. Actually, you should just be accumulating investments and waiting for that bottoming period where you get a clear-cut pattern that is suggesting renewed upside for gold. And then you should be short the euro, long gold against the euro, short the pound, long gold, and it's dollar the same. So we will reassert, and there are upside targets, and I've given those targets before on different YouTubes. I don't have them to hand. I wouldn't frustrate you. If I had them, I'd share them. But in our community, we have all our draws and we reshare them, and that detail is available. And if you want to be part of that, you want to make a difference to how you see yourself through this epic reset, then jump on board over there. So this is a big shout out that the chart, I'm interested to see how the gold-silver ratio is actually performing right now, where gold is performing, because silver looked like it went up a certain amount and gold a certain amount. And I want to see if that's been, we're still very close to the highs. And at some point, we're going to get what I call a shooting star, long candle wick up and then bashed all the way down, small little body, could be green or red. And then the next thing is the fall over, an internal period reversal. So if you're on a daily chart, an intraday reversal, a weekly chart, I look at long-term charts. It's the best thing. What are the things that I do to make a difference? So you don't want a course. You want something for free and nothing. You want to just get something, and you're just going to give me a like. That's great. Go look at long-term charts. The direction for something is determined in the long-term chart. These are not made up of spurious quick trades here and there. This is net money flowing in or out. Study your long-term charts. Do not enter at market, use limit orders. And cut the number of trades you do by 3. Not -3, divide by 3, 1/3. And those 3 things I've given before, and I'll reiterate them again. You'll think harder and more specifically about key criteria. Be very stringent with yourself. Let's be the very important saying. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the disciplines you impose upon yourself. So if I say you do research over the last 6 months and you've done 30 trades a month, and I'm saying divide by 3, that means you get a piece of paper and you draw 10 lines, and every single trade you make in that month, you draw one of those lines dead. And if you've drawn all dead in the first week, that's you done. That's you done until you learn to space them out and leave some ammo. And you should be on about 7 or 8 with still a week to go. And you should still have 3 trades in your locker. And you should become far more selective. Trade less, but be higher conviction. Your best high conviction trades, apart from when you drugged a little bit in your head with endorphins, because you just had a great winner before and you're overconfident, and overperformance often leads to future underperformance. Those things aside, generally your best views that you've done your most work on, we do 360-degree analysis. With this oil trade, we looked at the dollar, we looked at other currencies, we looked at other commodities. I looked at gold versus the oil. I divide the charts by each other. I look at them technically. I looked at oil services. We found inverteds in oil services. We found inverted structures in the oil itself. We studied the entire industry. We looked at a lot of charts before we said, you know what? This whole industry is going to wet the bed. and this is coming. And actually, this is big and it's well supported. And some of these shares are going from $25 to $3. What the hell could do that? Well, I guess I just got my question answered. A global pandemic and a price war. Yeah, it's pretty good. Short from $25 on PAA. I've got the trades in my blotter still to show any doubters from when we first started shorting it. I've got put options and it's in single digits. It's traded 6, but we ain't done yet. We're getting sub 4. And there's more money to have when you have put options if it's got $3 more in the money. So I'm holding on. And what happens if that's got to go from 6 to 3 something? That means there's a bit more pain to come in oil. It might mean, I don't know the sensitivity of PAA to the oil price, but I'm thinking oil's going to go lower because it isn't about the management of the company right now, is it? It's about pandemic, price war. It's a pipeline company. It shoves black tar in one direction and then the other and redirects it. So, it's not if I'm seeing the same thing in Tullow, it's unlikely they both suddenly got bad management at the same time and everybody suddenly realized that they were bad management suddenly at the same time. It's industry. It's industry-wide and it's big and there's a bigger target. In fact, right now, and it's not to say there isn't a possibility it can bounce, and I'm not here to give trade feeds. You'll learn and then we'll discuss trades, and the learning is almost more important than anything else. Learning, going on a trading and an investment journey, taking control for your own financial affairs and being encouraged to learn something about something you didn't think you wanted to learn, and learning to love charting. It's meditational for me now. I use charting to unwind. I love it. I need my time to sit down and pootle and doodle. It's like sitting there and doodling on a page. It's absolutely unwinding. It's beautiful. What I was saying to you is that this is a journey all of you should take because it's going to force you into a growth path that you truly, truly need. And it's something everyone should have. It's something you should be teaching to your kids. And it's something that as you do it, it makes you a smarter, wiser person about the ways of the world. And that is something you can't put a price on. And it makes you independent and free, never to have to trust your money with a hedge fund manager who will take an unnecessary risk on your behalf, never to be sat with a pension stuffed with bonds. Bonds will go up until they don't. Gold will always be there. And you might say, oh, it's just an industrial metal. No one will ever pay any money for it. I'll take your gold for coming onto this community. I'll also take Bitcoin. After they've quadrupled the amount of dollars in circulation, I'm going to want 4 or 5 times the amount of dollars. I'm sorry, that's how it works. So think about these things. Think about how you'll look at understanding financial. It's a journey worth taking. If you're not ready yet, that's fine. But think about that. It's kind of like learning to meditate. I can't meditate. It's too hard. My brain always wants to think of something. But you keep going back to trying. You keep going back to eating a little bit better. You can't just sit and eat veggies, steamed vegetables every day. But you think, maybe I'll just do a little more, a little bit less of that, and a little bit more of that. Walk yourself slowly. Rome wasn't built in a day. Be kind to yourself. Yeah. Slow growth is good. No development personally is awful. The worst thing that can happen to any of you is you die the same person you are now. Because that either means you're dying tomorrow or you fail to grow any point and you don't change any of your views along the way. And I'm saying to you, trading is an accelerator. Investing for your own money is an accelerator of understanding of many other things. And it's the most honest feedback mechanism on where you are at the map. So for those of you that appreciate that sounded a bit preachy there. I should put like a dog collar on and say, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Brethren. Yeah, I should do that. Good. So I think, what else have we got? Final questions, and then I'm going to go. Love the fact that so many of you came on board. Thank you for supporting the channel. Share it out with your friends. You hear this and people all say it. And I think, stuff that. I don't want to be one of those people that all say it. But actually, there is some useful messages in here that may reach someone at a really key moment. in their time, their life, that are having serious thoughts about what's going down and realizing this is not some little test. This is reality. It's getting intense, and it might hit home for some of them. So actually, you put it 3 guys on your WhatsApp that you most think will benefit from hearing some of this message. They can watch it on 3x. You buy those speedy things because we've been on for an hour plus. Get it out to them. Natural gas will be in trouble along with all energies, is my view. What else have we got? Can you suggest a course for beginners? We start right at the beginning on our own programs, but you've got to keep showing up. You have a full year to absorb a lot of things. And you get practical market and practical trading where you implement your theory right around you in a live world, real existing environment. Plus all the partners we're happy to work with. When is it not safe to hold cash anymore? I would hold it until they ban it and they make you have to bring it in. And then make sure you've got invoices and things, because they'll probably do a tax audit on you if it's beyond a certain size as well. But I will hold a certain amount of physical cash. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it because you might get held up. Keep it in the family and hide it in illogical places. Floorboards in storerooms and false walls and toilet latrines, etc. Henk, a Twitter guy just tweeted, I'll be selling more gold at 1600 if we get that far. This USD shortage will crush anything. Euro, JPY, gold, silver, etc. What do you think? So what he's trying to make reference to is the dollar milkshake theory. So dollar milkshake theory is that there's indebtedness in Russia, and not so much in Russia, actually. Russia doesn't have USD debt. In fact, they were holders of treasuries and they were but Mexico, I'm pretty sure South Africa will have dollar-based debt. Turkey is the highest and is probably the most precarious. The peso that's sold back and revisit the funnel is pumping again. In other words, they've shrugged off. They dipped on a falling wedge. I've drawn this chart. I'll share it through Twitter later for those of you who are interested in the peso, but it's an example of an emerging, and it shrugged off back down, and now it's just done what Bitcoin's done, only the inverse. It's just gone back straight up past where it fell from. So it's gone back and some. So they're not impressed. So what this is actually saying is indebted, because we're in a debt-borrowed system, apart from the yen, the dollar is going to be the strongest fiat until it fails. Because for every dollar that is created with a 10% loan, you actually need $1.1 to pay back. And as they've made so many loans to nations that can't print dollars, they can only print their local currency. They have to print their local currency, convert it into dollars to pay back dollars, or sell things to America. And Turkey isn't selling enough to America. And they've got all these big debts in America. And then if they borrowed 100 billion and they're being charged whatever percent with a risk premium and a bit of a return on it, that means they need 100 billion plus X billion in interest payments. So that's what the shortage of dollars means. And there's a bigger shortage of gold for the amount of debt created. So he's wrong about the sell gold. Initially, when people are rushing to cash, gold will go down. Eventually, as all the other fiat currencies fail and we fall in, all the dominoes are falling in towards the middle one, gold will have to be revalued. You're already seeing a gap of light between the paper prices in the COMEX and London that do no delivery of gold. It's just a derivative trading. You're going long, you go short, and then you make profit on paper. It's a trading account thing. And actually getting delivery. Do you know there's no silver eagles? Where are my Americans? You'll be all here. My 1,200, half of you are going to be American. There's no silver eagles available at present. Junk silver, which is rough cuts of silver, had only 15% of stock out. Now 70% of stock out. There are a lot of people buying metals. And guess what? The premium is on silver eagles, $4 per coin. Hang on a minute. that means the price per ounce actually isn't the real price of getting a piece of silver in your hand. There's a premium. Now, if there's a premium, there's a physical delivery price, and there's an official paper trading, we'll call it this price. Think about that. Imagine you came to buy a car from me and I said, well, the paper price was 10 grand. For you actually to come and get the car and have the keys and both sets of keys and the manuals and the car with the seats and the steering wheel, well, no. I'm sorry. You want all that? Well, that's not 10 grand. That's 15 grand. You want a steering wheel with your car? Gee, who the hell do you think you are? You want a lot. That's extras. So, how valid is that paper price of my advertised car at 10K? No, I was lying. I was just getting you in because it sounded cheap. And once you're in, I was stuffing you. That's your gold market right now. $4 premium to get a single silver ounce. That's supposedly only $14. 14 and a half. 4 and 14. 4 and 16 is 25%. That's 2/7. It's higher than a quarter. So actually, you came to buy my car for 10 grand and I charged you 25% more because you wanted a steering wheel with that. So think about that for a while. So I don't agree with, I get what he's saying, and I agree against emerging fiats that will fail first and hardest, and everyone will see them fail against the dollar. But in actual fact, they're failing against gold too. And in the end, the dollar, with all its printing as a fiat, will have a problem against precious metals once they've created a couple of quadrillion of them. What do you want? Something that some central banker crook that's trying to sustain a broken machine can conjure up in trillions in new supply, or something that nobody can print and already has an accepted value? It makes sense to me. 4,000 years of history. Okay, there is no fix in currency. I'm not sure I understood that. Let's see if I can find it again. It's rolling a bit fast. What about GBP? GBP is going to have problems. Will silver follow the price of God? I think you mean gold, but you can call it God. To many it will be. Baal. If it's Baal, if you make a statue of Baal in gold, then he's a god. And then I'm like, all hail. No, not quite. I wouldn't do that. It's not my bag at all. I think I've done most of the Qs, guys. I think I've done most of the Qs. So I purchased a couple thousand ounces of silver several years ago when it was 14. But adding premium, shipping, and tax costs me over 18 now. That's right. And it's like, yeah. Well, we'll sell you the goods a little cheaper and we'll nail you on the postage because everybody needs the postage. I'll say, if you say, hey, I'll come to your door, I'll collect them myself. In fact, I'll scan them right there where we stand, and then I'll take them. Now I'd say, oh, well, there's collection fee. And then you realize, actually, the charge it's not as high as the delivery fee, but the charge ain't that. And they're expecting most people to need delivery because they're an internet company organizing drop shipping of silver coins from the mint. So they actually get that premium every time because they get a bit of a kickback from the delivery companies. I know I have Dropbox. I have a place in the States where there's no tax that does drop shipping for me. If I want to buy something in America that's cheaper in America, I buy in Oregon and I have it sent to me and I have it labeled second-hand goods. Why must I pay extra taxes? It's something you could do. I'm just saying, maybe it's an idea. Who knows? But the point is, they make money on shipping. The Dropbox company actually doesn't charge me much money at all, but they keep creating packages for DHL. And if you're creating a ton of packages for DHL, wow, the Mexican wants to run. I want to run with it. I'm going to add to my Mexican. USD Mexican, come to my party. We love you. Tequila. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to jump on to the trading markets and I'm going to also get some rest. Thank you for popping on. It's a long goodbye. Really appreciate you. Final few likes for those that haven't done it. 753. I appreciate you doing that. If every third person here that came on tonight, and there were 1,300 at the high, sends every third person, you can decide if you want to be that guy, to 3 people. That'll be 3,000. There'll be a lot of people. There'll be a better part of 300 of you sending it to another 1,000 odd people that could deal with this message and understand where we are. Laugh your way through it. Learn to dance, learn to meditate, learn to relax. There's some things you can control and there's some things you can't. Never allow the fear to take hold. And you could lose a job. You could lose a lot of things that could be scary. Guess what? It's all for the good. You will be fine. Trust in your own inherent abilities to reposition. You could go bankrupt, some of you. You might be highly leveraged. You might get all your debt called in. You know what? Clear that shit out. Some of you could have job losses. Some of you could have... There's never a reason to jump off a bridge. Not for fiat tokens. Don't let them win like that. There's never a reason. And you're still a man. No one got to take your manhood away from you. And if you're a lady here, you're still a lady and you're still done good. Don't let them through this carnage. The people that committed suicide in 2008 was the saddest story for me. That was like loss from financial pressure. And I know, I felt it. I was in a property development business while I was trading. And it was harsh. Some people took happy pills for a while, to get themselves through it. Do not let them put you on the big pharma. Laugh your way through it. Exercise, walk on a beach, do something. Remember that. Remember, you're not worth what fiat tokens you hold. If some of you get run down really hard, don't stress it. It's all, things are going to come out in the wash. It's going to be a different system. I'm hoping there'll be a few good things. There will certainly be very convenient things for us and very convenient, I'm sure, for the control structure. You might even like it. You might accept your slavery and enjoy your new life and world. I'm saying make some smart decisions. If you have some cash, keep it, build it. If you're a business, call in all your invoices and offer a discount for quick upfront payment. Get cash in because people might not be able to pay in the future. So before people are in button down the hatches mode, get all your invoices in, get all your payments through. Make sure you're cash rich. Any new buyers, incentives for upfront and in full payment. So if you're running a business, if you've got a job, ask your boss if you can help with any other projects. Try be the one that doesn't get canned. Maybe time to butter him up a bit and be really helpful. And develop links in the local community. I think the government's going to have to create a swathe of jobs to deal with pain and suffrage. You might get community work if you lose your job. Doesn't matter. You'll get something else and you'll get more engaged. You'll learn something new. And if you're well-resourced, come and be part of our membership of our community. Trade and invest through this thing and come out polarizing event that come out extremely well. So far, we've been pretty accurate and we aim to continue. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for the shares. Really appreciate it. It's better part of 1 hour and 40 minutes. You stayed with me like champs. I'm going to end the stream and share the video. God bless you all. Stay calm, stay positive, and laugh your way through this clown show because it's a proper clown show. And never have any illusions about how much of this has been engineered. Bye for now.